edition of Good Morning OTs. I am so excited about today's guests. The two people we have in the studio today are going to talk about the psychodynamic frame of reference and using it in the group setting. Let's give a warm welcome to Alex Kelly and Sigmund Freud.
Thanks, Glenn. I'm really excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm very excited as well.
So I want to start out by finding out more information about the psychodynamic frame of reference. So, Mr. Freud, I know you are one of the pioneering minds behind the psychoanalytic theory. Could you give the audience some background on that?
Yes, I could do that. That's a great question. Psychodynamic, also known as psychoanalytic, is a way to resolve conflict through talk, creative activities, or other ways of self-expression. There are three main areas of focus: the ego, the id, and the superego. The ego is the facilitator between the id and the superego. You could kind of think of it as like the communicator between the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder. The ego is the sense of self, and it's used for logical thinking. The id is the illogical, primitive way of thinking, often expressed through anger. And the superego is also illogical, and it's often unrealistic in the ideals and perfection that it requires of you.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So Alex, how does this apply to OT?
So, Glenn, the psychodynamic frame of reference is one of many theories that occupational therapists have been using, and it can be used for individuals or within a group setting. It offers guidelines for the application of creative media with goals that include self-awareness, reality orientation, effective expression, control of emotions, and developing the skills for maintaining satisfying relationships with others. It is also used within the occupational therapy realm, as well as receiving greater acknowledgement since the emergence of spirituality. So if you consider why individuals feel uplifted or energized by music, or why they become so engrossed in theatrical performances, or perhaps why they enjoy a good cry at the movies.
I love a good cry in the movies.
So do I. We as OTs realize that creative arts do far more than just convey an intellectual message. Creative arts touch our spirit and revitalize our being in ways that usually can't be explained. And so the use of creative arts as ego explorative activities that you're going to see later with the Hidden Faces project that we've gotten to present for a group protocol, you'll be able to see how it facilitates accurate expression of feelings and or thoughts.
Great. So I can see that this would be really helpful for that setting and with populations, but is there a population that it works best for?
So the psychodynamic frame of reference really focuses on clients' ability to view themselves in a more realistic way by observing their strengths and their weaknesses. Interventions provide a foundation for the clients to focus on their behaviors, influences, and consideration of past events. And through recognizing these past events and feelings, OT practitioners can help them in directing their behavior and esteem through ways of coping and recognition. Some common populations who really benefit from this include those that might have suicidal tendencies, risk-taking behaviors, depression, paranoia, schizophrenia, self-starvation, OCD, and addiction. Essentially, individuals that have mental health problems. And later in the show, you're going to see our psychodynamic frame of reference group protocol, and it really focuses on two clients that demonstrate depression and drug and alcohol addiction.
Great. Well, I want to ask Mr. Freud another question. So, Sigmund, may I call you Sigmund?
No, I prefer Dr. Freud.
Oh, my apologies. Dr. Freud, I want to know more about the evidence that supports this frame of reference.
Yes, well, I am the expert for this theory, and there's clear evidence support. So the first one I want to talk about is Mary Levine. She did a great job talking about the defensive mechanism. She was talking about the importance to express creativity to inhibit the unconscious triggers that we all have. They often lead to projection and denial. The other one I want to talk about is Melanie Thompson. She does a great job at focusing on creative arts and found that clients are significantly more effective with self-awareness and interpersonal communication when expressing themselves through creative arts.
Great. Well, thanks so much for those examples. I can see that the psychodynamic approach is very useful. I know everybody out in our audience is adding it to their metaphorical OT toolboxes. Okay, so we've talked talked about the connection between the psychoanalytical theory and the client population that this theory works best for, and some of the evidence that supports it. I have one more question. How does this approach or this frame of reference apply to occupational activities and performance areas?
It's a really good question, Gwen. We've discovered today that the ego is really easily understood as the self, which includes an individual's sense of self and their own self-concept. And the psychodynamic approaches are really useful when dealing with human emotions and motivational issues, which you see a lot of within the OT frame of reference. And it helps with discovering the symbolic meaning of occupation. So when an individual doesn't have a positive self-concept, it can really affect them in all areas of occupation. Those negative thoughts or misconceptions of themselves, or just mentally not feeling well, can lead to deficits in social interaction, social participation, work or education skills, or even ADLs, especially when motivation is lacking.
Well, that's a great explanation. Thanks again. Well, that's all the time we have today, but don't switch the dial just yet, because up next is the video segment of Alex leading the psychodynamic group protocol called Hidden Faces. See you next time on Good Morning OTs.
Hi guys, thank you for joining me today in our group session. Before we get started, I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little something about myself, and then I'd like you guys to do the same thing. So my name is Alex, and I'm going to be your occupational therapist running this group session today. And something about myself is I really enjoy reading books. So would you like to go next?
My name's Gwen, and I guess I like to hang out with friends.
All right, thanks, Gwen.
My name's Eric. I like drinking and playing video games.
All right, thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate it. So before we get started on our activity, I like to do a little warm-up, and today's warm-up is called I Feel Lucky, and I'll go first. So I feel lucky that I am healthy. Gwen, would you like to go next?
I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I have a boyfriend.
Great, thank you, Gwen. How about you, Eric?
I feel lucky that I got high-speed internet so I can play video games all the time.
All right, thank you guys for sharing. So today, the activity we're going to be doing is called Hidden Faces. And later I'm going to give you guys the masks and some art supplies here to do that activity. We're basically going to help you guys to evaluate accuracy of your thoughts about yourselves, and it helps give us an opportunity to interact socially with each other. And during it, I really want you guys to think about your inner state and how it compares to your outer appearance. In addition, this activity is really good when you are feeling like one stage of your life is ending and another stage is beginning. So I want you to really think about, who am I right now and who am I becoming? So once I give you guys the materials, we're going to have about 20 minutes to actually do the activity. And then the rest of the time is going to be spent discussing the activity. But before we even get started, I really like to talk about group norms. So I just want to share that with you guys. Basically, I think it's really important that we listen when other people are talking. I really appreciate when you guys contribute positively to the conversations. And if you disagree, that's fine, but if you guys could really do it in a respectful manner. Sound good? All right. Thanks, guys. All right, so Gwen and Eric, basically the goals of this activity that we're going to do consist of helping you guys to identify accurate self-concepts, as well as identifying inaccurate self-concepts. And it's also to help you guys demonstrate more of a realistic view of yourself in relation to your addiction, and an understanding of how you can utilize these accurate self-concepts in everyday life to provide more of an increased positive interaction, social interaction out in, in the community, with work, or school if you're going to school, or with your family members or whatever, okay? So first of all, what we're going to do is you guys are all going to receive a cardboard mask handout here, and I'm going to do this activity with you guys too. I just want to emphasize that there's really no right way to do this activity, and you guys can do it however you see fit. It's really about expression of yourself, individualized expression of yourself. You You guys are gonna have about 15 minutes to make the mask, and you can use the magazines I have brought in here to make more of a collage, or we've got markers here, we've got glue sticks, we've got, some ribbon and stuff here that you can use as well. So, I'm gonna do this along with you guys, like I already said, and, then we'll talk about it afterwards, if that's okay with you guys. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So go ahead and get started, and if you have questions for me throughout, feel free to ask, and I'm probably gonna ask you guys some questions and talk to you guys a little bit more throughout this too, okay? I know you said earlier, Glenn, that you like to hang out with friends, but are there other things that you enjoy doing?
I don't know.
I mean, things that you do by yourself, maybe?
Lately, I've been, kinda like what Eric was saying, I've been drinking. I like to drink,
Yeah.
so that's what I've been doing by
Well, what are some
myself.
things that you've done, I mean, what are some things about yourself that you feel others don't quite understand?
You know, I'm actually kind of an artist.
Yeah?
Um,
Well, that's sweet.
I don't tell a lot of people that, but I do like art.
Cool. Well, I'm hoping that this will help you kinda tune into that a little bit.
Yeah.
How about you, Eric? What are some things that, you feel people don't quite get about you?
Well, when I was little, I used to hate helping my dad garden because he made me do all the hard work. But I really like the brightness of all the flowers. So I think I like gardening.
Very cool. Those are neat things, things I didn't even know about you guys, so thank you for sharing that with me. I really, I really enjoy the outdoors. I like to spend time with family and friends, and I like basketball, I like to coach. When you guys are doing this, I really want you to keep thinking about the questions that I asked earlier about who am I right now and who I'm becoming. You know, this is a big change for you guys being here in this facility, and I think it's really important to acknowledge the time and effort and work you're putting in to try and make those changes in yourself. So I really appreciate that, and I want you guys to see that too and see how important that is and how huge that is to be willing to make those changes.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better, I think.
Good.
I also like the show on HGTV. It's called Fixer Uppers. And this is one of the ladies that are on there.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
What's Fixer Uppers about, Eric?
They buy like these really old houses that are kind of junky, and then they renovate them and they make them look really cool.
Great.
And one day I'd like to try to do something like that, even though I don't have any experience doing that.
Have you ever tried that with something smaller, like maybe not a house, but have you ever tried to like fix up, I don't know, dressers or, you know, are you one of those kind of people that has ever done like resale stuff and?
I made like some flower boxes with my dad, made a birdhouse once.
So you've got more experience than you think. I think you do.
That's the people from Texas, right, Eric?
Yeah,
Oh.
they're from Texas. Do you watch that show too?
I have. I like the husband's pretty funny, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's always joking around.
Alright guys, your masks look really great. I think what I'd like to do first is kind of share what I put on my mask and explain a little bit, and then if you guys don't mind, I'd like you to do the same thing after me. Is that okay with you guys? Sound good? Alright, so what you see on mine is, first of all, I've got this light bulb and you kind of see the layers involved in it. So I kind of see it as demonstrating like the different layers within guys only get to see me as your OT, but there's a lot more to me than just OT. I'm a mom, you know, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, so those are just kind of all the different layers of me. And I put up here that it's time to play, because that's something I think is really important. I like to, not just with my kids, but for myself too, like finding fun things to do for myself. And educate is a big thing. It's a big part of me with my job and educating you guys and maybe educating some staff members sometimes. Family is a really huge thing, so you see the family cut out there. And basketball is one of my favorite pastime things that I enjoy doing with my kids, and I like to coach. And I've got tomato soup here because it's like my favorite comforting food ever. So that just gives you a little bit of an understanding of what I want you guys to do, and just do your best and share with me whatever you've got on your masks and how it kind of relates to you guys, all right? Gwen, would you like to go first?
Okay, so I put some things on there. Like my friends are constantly telling me to hang out with them and drink, so I put them there. I feel like this dark area this is like when I feel really depressed. It's just like always looming over me. I'm not very smart. I don't know, my life's kind of blah. I did put that I play the guitar on there, and I have a paintbrush for my art.
Very nice, Gwen. Thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit after Eric has a chance to share his.
I think you're smart, Glenn. Yours is way better than mine.
Thanks, Eric.
I think you're very smart as well, Gwen. I think you're underestimating yourself there, so.
So on mine, I started off and I put this red thing on it because it reminds me of when I went on vacation. Reminds me of like the Hispanic culture. I put a computer on there because that's what I like to do for fun. Sometimes I can escape reality and indulge in a different type of world that's not my current situation. I put a beer on there even though I can't drink right now. I'd like to responsibly at some point when I get things under control. This is one of the TV shows that I watch. It's a show that's based out of Texas where they renovate homes. I like eating raw cookie dough even though you're not supposed to because salmonella. But, you know, you only live once. I also like gardening. That's why I have a flower in a flower box. And I went on a cruise once when I still talk to my family. Lately they haven't really talked to me much because I borrowed a bunch of money and spent it on alcohol and partying. I also feel like I'm not very smart and I'm not very happy either.
Yeah, I can see that you guys both have that going on, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that and to understand that I hear what you're saying, but I don't see it. You guys are both very intelligent people in the time that I've worked with you here at the facility, and it shows. I mean, even with what you guys are presenting right now, it's showing that you guys have a lot to offer, and there's a lot of great things that go on in your life, some really fantastic things that you enjoy doing. You like to play guitar, and you have this piece of artistic piece within yourself that's really unique, Glenn. And Eric, you enjoy doing the gardening, and I think that's really great. So I really appreciate you guys showing me your artwork and explaining it a little bit further. Eric, I did notice that when Glenn was talking about her mask a little bit, you kind of dropped your head and you looked a little bit sad. Was there anything that you wanted to add to that, or anything that triggered that for you?
Just like seeing the darkness on hers. I feel that too. It's really hard to talk about sometimes, but it does help with like the artwork. You can kind of express it in a different way. You don't have to talk about it a whole lot. You can just kind of show it.
Okay. And maybe we can talk about, you know, that piece a little bit later, one-on-one if you'd like at some point.
Okay.
So, like I said, I noticed like the similarities between yours were the not feeling smart, and you said something about not being happy. And that seems like it might be a really big obstacle in life goals and moving forward, to not identify that or to hold on to that piece. Gwen, is there anything that really makes you feel that way, or is that just a self-observation
people are really disappointed in me all the time, and they tell me that, you know, I just wish you'd get it together, and I think that's why I feel like I'm not smart. But, you know, I'm hearing what you guys are saying, and maybe that's not really truly who I am, and I can change that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think you, I mean, I really believe that you can. I think, you know, you're showing me right here during this session, and you showed me in past sessions, when you really get interactive and working with, you know, your group members and stuff, there's this whole different piece of you that comes out, that creative piece, and you have a lot to offer and share with other people. So don't think about yourself as being not smart, because you are very intelligent. Do you guys feel at all that this outer appearance, your addiction, has really affected how others view you? Do you think that's been misinterpreted?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people just don't understand me, at least. And it's just nice to be able to come here and people not judge me on my past mistakes. But yeah, my past, I think, is how people view me differently, because I'm trying to work through this, but it just makes it that much harder that I have no support.
Yeah, that's very challenging, Eric. I hear you on that. I think that's very, very challenging. Gwen, do you have support, do you think, or?
You know, similar to what Eric said, but what you said, Alex, at the beginning of this session, thinking about who we want to become, you know, and that means a lot to me, because I think I can be more of this side of my mask versus
The other side, the dark side.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you can too. And I think the biggest step in that is you guys being here voluntarily at this facility and trying to make those changes in yourself. So you're really working hard, and I think it's really important to remember that. And it's not meant to be perfect. You guys aren't going to be perfect. None of us are. So you're going to have some stumbles here and there, but you're on the right track, and I think that's the biggest part.
And I didn't realize some of these things until I started making my mask either. Like I didn't, you know, I put this word trauma on here, and I didn't even really think about that much, but it was kind of traumatic, my childhood, and I guess it just opened my eyes to who I am.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I really think that's fantastic that you were willing to do this activity and talk about some of the deeper things with yourselves. So I just kind of got a couple things. I mean, you guys have addressed it a little bit. Just how do you think, and what do you think you can take away from this experience for the future?
I think by having everything kind of slow down and just use like pictures as symbolism, it kind of helps guide me to figure out what my problems are and what things I like, and then I can maybe change, or at least it might help me think on how I can change my path from where I was to where I want to be.
That's really great, Eric. Thank you. And Gwen, I mean, we talked a little bit about this, but I just wanted to kind of identify like one misconception about yourself, and you've really spoken on that today with your not being smart. I think you're really starting to see that and view that differently in yourself.
Yeah, that helped me a lot, hearing you guys tell me that I am smart, and I think I am going to make that change and start perceiving myself as being smart and worthwhile and more than just, you know, feeling depressed and using alcohol.
Yeah. Do you think there's anybody that you could maybe share this math or experience with in your life, and maybe kind of try and share some of the pieces on it? Do you think there's anybody in your life, Gwen or Eric?
My mom is still pretty supportive, but sometimes she doesn't see things the same way as me, so maybe if we kind of recreated our masks together, maybe she might understand what I'm feeling a little bit more.
That's awesome. So, Gwen, you talked a little bit about your future and what should be coming, right? Both of you have. But I understand that sobriety is probably one of your main goals when you leave here. But do you have, I want you to think a little bit deeper and think about maybe something else that you can really work on once you leave here, and how this activity, what we did today, and might help you reach that goal. Do you have anything that you guys could share?
Yeah. I mean, Eric, I've gotten not using alcohol while doing it. So I'm gonna use my new social skills to help me when I leave here.
Very good.
It was really rough detoxing at first, but I felt socially awkward when I wasn't drinking, and this did help me feel and kind of regain confidence to talk to people without having to be under the influence at the same time.
That's awesome,
So
Eric.
it helps with
And
that.
Derek, I see you maybe gardening,
Yeah.
doing more of that.
Yeah, I think that would be something really therapeutic and, a positive thing that you can really put that energy into. So I would like to hear more about that as time goes on. I think that'd be really good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you like this activity? Was this something enjoyable for you?
Yeah, I liked it.
At first, I didn't know what to think about it, but as we got going, it actually really was.
I think it pulled a lot out of you, Gwen, with that artistic piece that
Yeah.
none of us were even aware of, so I think that's pretty neat to see. And Eric, you did a really nice job with just depicting some really deep pieces of yourself, so I thank you guys for doing that. So we did this, and basically our biggest thing was to kind of talk about our accurate self-concepts and those inaccurate self-concepts, and those inaccurate ones kind of are those negative ones that we discussed, you know, the not being smart piece. And I'm hoping that you guys can really reconsider that within yourselves and to utilize these pieces that we talked about, all these positive things that we talked about, and use them to help build that self-concept and that positive relationships outside of the facility, positive social participation with, you know, family members, friends, boyfriends, in the work environment or whatever. So I just wanted to thank you guys again for coming today, and it's getting to be time for us to end, so you guys are welcome to take these home with you or take them back to your room with you for right now, and then we can probably, we'll